All right, guys, welcome back. So, as we discussed in the last lecture, we had a brief introduction about Ansible and what is the purpose of Ansible in the infrastructure space. I hope you guys are clear with it. So, let's now deep dive completely into Ansible and how does it work. So, this is these two are an important topics before we are getting started with Ansible scripts. So, we have to understand what is an inventory file and what is a configuration file. So in this lecture, we will deep down into what is an inventory file. So inventory is specific in a nutshell. So you have say X number of nodes. So inventory is a list of those nodes which will be managed by Ansible. So if like we want to manage A, B, C, and D nodes, these nodes will be listed with their corresponding information inside the inventory file. So we can define this group of servers for targeted execution. And this inventory file can either be static, that is, you can hard code it, or it can be dynamic. These static files can be written into two formats. That is, we will discuss in the next slide which two formats are these. And the dynamic inventory can be generated from APIs. That is, we can either directly connect to the cloud provider, say for example AWS or GCP, and directly pull our current inventory and apply that inventory file before running the Ansible script. So let's see a quick example. So these are the two inventory file formats, static inventory file formats that we discussed previously. So first is the ini format and second is the YAML format. So first we will look into the what is an ini format. So in this init format, we mention the host, that is the nodes essentially, in plain text format, that is in a key and value pair separated by an equals to mark. So I will first explain the YAML format and explain the differences between them. And the YAML format, if you are unaware about YAML, we don't worry, we will get to know about it. So what YAML is essentially a structured format in key value pairs. And you can see there is proper indentation and there is a proper hierarchy in it. So these are the two types of formats in which an inventory file can be written. So as you can see clearly, so if we want to, we have a small infrastructure, that is a small footprint. So this any format can be very useful and it's straightforward for us to write the information about those nodes, that is the host, directly. But if we have like thousands of servers and we have to group them properly, and so say for example, there's a multinational company, so they cannot rely on such format. That is, write one by one. We go ahead and write that information. So in that case, YAML format is the best example where this format will come into picture. It's more structured and it uses dictionary and list formats to properly write the inventory information. All right. So this is an example of any format in an inventory file is written. So you can see this Windows server, what it's written in the bracket. I will explain you in the next slide. What does it mean? For now, just focus on this line. So this is the one entry. That is one host one entry. So you can see the first thing. This is called an alias. So win1, that is an alias. That is you can refer that host by that alias name. And second is a parameter called Ansible underscore host. So here you mention either the FQDN, that is the fully qualified domain name, or the IP address. The second is the Ansible connection. Now, so if for example our target server is a Windows VM or a Windows server, then we will use WinRM. And if it's a Linux server, we will use SSH. So the Ansible connection is important to mention over here. So next are optional parameters, but that is either we can use username or password, or we can use key-based SSH. So depending on the level of security, obviously, hard coding passwords is not recommended. So we will eventually go to key-based SSH or key-based or we'll create environment variables where password won't be hard coded. So that is Ansible underscore username and Ansible underscore password. So these credentials will be used to target this cell. I hope are you clear with it? So here is a second example, that is under one Linux host is mentioned. So here and you can see the clear difference. Now Ansible connection is turned on to SSH, and for SSH the password parameter is different. That is, we use Ansible underscore SSH underscore pass. So hope this is clear, and this is a basic example of how what goes inside an inventory file. All right, let's move on. So these are the inventory file parameters we saw previously, the Ansible host, Ansible SSH private key file that I mentioned, which will be used for SSHing without using passwords. So I'll just give you 5 seconds. You can click a screenshot of these parameters. It will be helpful for you. So these are mostly commonly used. All right, let's move on now. So as I mentioned previously, what exactly is inside this bracket and what does this mean? So I will explain that in this slide. This is very important to understand, because when the infrastructure gets bigger, so this groups and parent-child relationships help us a lot to consolidate that data. So what all is written in this bracket and is called a groups, that is web servers. For example, I named a group called web and mentioned the web servers inside those. Then there's a DB servers that is I mentioned inside a group DB and mentioned those servers down. Then here is an application server, an application group, sorry, and the mention the server over here. So these are essentially called as groups. And why these are necessary? So you can directly, instead of passing these servers one by one, we can directly pass the group inside the Ansible. So for example, we have to upgrade or install a package, for example, just simple example. So if you want to install a package on both the web servers, that is both these web servers, then I won't use to pass this one by one. I will just directly pass the group inside that, and both these servers will have that package get installed. So this is a clear use case of groups. And a parent-child. The second concept is parent-child relationships. Now, after we create a group, so we can create a parent-child relationship. That is, we can mention an alias for parent and children, and mention all those groups that we previously mentioned inside this. So you can see clearly, so web, DB, and app. Now both these servers will get included directly inside all underscore servers. So this has become a parent-child relationship. Now this can have a multiple use cases. That is, wherever you want, suppose we have to perform an upgrade activity on all the servers, that is all underscore servers. So we don't have to pass each and every server. So one by one, we'll directly pass web, DB, and app through all underscore servers. And we can directly then consolidate that whole, the entire servers into one and pass it to Ansible. So I hope this concept is clear. You can take a screenshot if you want for better understanding. All right, let's move on. So in the next lecture, we will discuss about configuration files. Thank you.